Hello, welcome to Once Upon a Stitch and my desk where the creativity happens. We are going to be going over the tutorial for how to do the sleeve to this cardigan. You can see I've already done one here for you to kind of get a look. And so we're going to be working on the second sleeve. So I'm going to turn this over so we can work it here, and I'm going to bring you down a bit. So you see we have our opening armhole here, and you can join in your same color yarn anywhere you want along the armhole, doesn't much matter, but just for simplicity's sake I like to join at the base. Alright, so you see we have our armhole opening here, and you can join in your same color yarn anywhere along here, and you're going to be using the same hook you've been using for your body. In this case I think I'm using as 4.75 I think. This is always marked wrong, but the same hook that you've been using for your body, and I'm going to join in at the base just because I want to. You can join anywhere, and what you're going to do is work around the entire armhole in multiples of 8. So you want it divisible by 8 by the end. So you're going to work all the way around in just simple single crochets that are divisible by 8. So it helps to count 8, 8, 8 as you go along. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm working over my tails. I'm going to orient this also to be a little easier. Did I say 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. 6, 7, 8, for example, and I'll keep doing that. Now, since I've done my other sleeve already, I already know that this needs to match up with the same count I had there, and I had 8 multiples of 8, so I'm going to make sure that matches up. So just single crochet all the way around, multiples of 8, and then I'll meet you once we've finished the single crocheting around our entire armhole. Alright, so I've come all the way around. Took me a bit to make sure my count was right, but we're going to slip stitch to join. So here we are, we've gone all the way around, and now what we're going to do is chain 1 and single crochet in our first stitch. Then we are going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the next stitch we're going to do an iris stitch. So if you're not familiar with that, you're yarning over, inserting into your stitch. See if I can get this a little clearer. I know there's so much cloth and distracting bits, so I'm not sure how well it will focus. You insert, yarn over, pull through like you would for a double crochet, but you're going to yarn over, put through your stitch, yarn over, pull through again. Basically you're doing a puff stitch. You'll yarn over and pull through 4 of your loops, then yarn over and pull through your last 2 loops. Now we'll chain 2. We're going to do that again into that same stitch. So once you have 5 loops, right? Yes. Yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over, pull through 2. Chain 2 again, and do 1 more puff stitch like that. So you should have 3 with 2 chains in between. And that's your iris stitch. Now we're going to skip 3 and single crochet into the next one. And we are going to repeat that all the way around. So I'll do 1 more or so with you. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3 into the next one. We're going to do an iris stitch. So we'll make our puff, chain 2, make our puff, chain 2, and 1 more puff. Then we will skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and single crochet into the next one. So you see the single crochets anchor that down, creating this hump or wave effect here. And then we are going to just keep doing that. We're skipping 3, we're doing our iris stitch, skipping 3, single crochet all the way around. And you should end on the last skip 3, meeting up with your first single crochet. Alright, I've come all the way around, and when I skip the last 3, I will meet up with my first single crochet, so I'll slip stitch into that one. So Sorry there's so much extra material. We're working directly onto the cardigan. And now what you'll do is you'll chain 1, single crochet into that single crochet stitch, and into the first chain here, part of the iris stitch, you're going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the next chain, you're going to single crochet 3, like so, just going over that arch, and then you're going to single crochet 1 into that one single crochet from your previous row, so that one stitch by itself. Then into chain, we do single crochet 4, next chain, single crochet 3, then single crochet 1 into that single crochet down here, and you'll repeat that all the way around. Alright, once you've come to the end here, you'll slip stitch to join, and then we need to know one more row before we can do a repeat. So this was row 3, and now for row 4, you are going to slip stitch into the next 3 stitches, so working your way up your iris stitch, so that when you chain 1 and single crochet, that single crochet is going into the middle, right there. And so what we do now is we skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and down here into the little wedge, into that single crochet, you're going to do an iris stitch. So you'll do your little puff, chain 2, puff stitch, chain 2, puff stitch, all into that same stitch, like so. So you see how you're creating them now in between the ones you did before. Now you'll skip 3, single crochet, skip 3, and do an iris stitch. And just do that all the way around. It should become pretty intuitive. And then, so the, my yarn's getting tangled. So the row before, that single crochet one, that's working over your iris stitches, and this one will be your repeat section. You want to do it for about 6 times, unless for your arm it's too tight and you want to start increasing sooner. Then you'll move on to the next section. So just repeat these 2 rows about 6 times, or until you're ready to start increasing your sleeve. Alright, you can see I've worked up my sleeve 6 more times with those 2 rows, and now we're going to do an increase, which will give us an extra 2 of the, I think I called them iris before, they are the lotus stitch. So for this first increase round, I'm going to bring it down here. It's going to be pretty similar, but you single crochet in your first stitch, the single crochet down here, and then when we work into our first chain, we're going to single crochet 6 instead of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then instead of 3 in the next chain space, we're going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like so. Then in this single crochet in between your lotus stitches, you'll single crochet, and then you're going to do your regular single crochet 4 in your first chain, single crochet 3 in your next chain, and single crochet in between your lotus stitches. And you're going to work that until you get to the opposite side of your first increase, so on the opposite side of the sleeve, just arbitrarily. So go ahead and do that until you reach your other side of your sleeve, and I'll pick up with you there. Alright, here is our first increase, our first single crochet over our stitches, and now I've worked kind of all the way around. On my case, I have about 3 lotus stitches on either side, so it's nice and even. And so I'm going to do the increase again. So I'm going to single crochet 6 into this first chain, and then single crochet 5 into the next chain. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then continue as usual the rest of the way around. And then the next row will also be a little different. So these 2 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, will compose your increases when you're making them in this pattern. So if you wanted to keep increasing more than the pattern calls for, you can, using these 2 rows. And if you wanted to drastically increase at this increment, you could add more. If you want to increase by 4, make it very dramatic, you could add the increase section at more places. But just a note if you wanted to alter it to your own liking. Alright, I've finished all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch to join. And now, as we would usually do slip stitch 3, we're just going to slip stitch into the next 2. 1, 2, chain 1, into the next stitch we'll single crochet, then we skip 2, and you'll notice working about at the it should be like the last single crochet of this chain that we worked in of the 6, and should be right above your middle lotus petal or puff stitch here. You're going to do your lotus stitch in that stitch. So you do a puff, chain 2, a puff, chain 2, and a puff. There we are, and now we're skipping 2, not 3, single crochet, skip 2, and then you'll notice in the next one is the single crochet in between the lotus stitches. So you'll do the usual lotus stitch here, then you'll do the regular 1, 2, 3 skip, single crochet, skip 3, and then you'll be working the usual route. So you see this placed a lotus stitch up at the top here instead of below. So this is an added lotus stitch that's going to be now incorporated as you do your regular rounds after this. So you're going to do the regular pattern until you reach your increase point that should be on the opposite side of your sleeve, just like before, where you have your first 6 single crochet and 5 single crochet opposed to your regular 4 and 3. So go ahead and do that until you reach that point. So I am coming upon, this is my increase lotus point, and so you'll be doing your last regular lotus stitch in the single crochet at the bottom, at the little dip in between. And then now that I've reached my increase and I've done my lotus stitch here, I'm going to skip 2, single crochet into the next one, skip 2, and you'll notice it's again at the top. We'll do our lotus stitch right there. Skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, and now you're going to do your regular pattern all the way around till you meet the beginning. Alright, so I've worked the last lotus stitch in the last little bottom single crochet. You'll remember right before we do our slip stitches. And I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet we did in the round to join. And so from here, you're going to do about 4 repeats of your regular stitches. So 4 and 3 single crochets into your chains, and then the regular just lotus stitch in the little dips each time. So you're going to do that for about 4 repeats between the single crochet row and your lotus row. It can be longer, it can be shorter, up to you. And then you'll do another set. So these 2 rows we just went over, you'll do 1 more increase, just the same way we did. So 4 rows of regular, then you'll do 2 increase rounds, and then regular rounds up to the length you want your sleeve to be. And again, you can adjust this if you want extra increases. This is just how I have it done in the pattern, how it is tailored to that, but it's very easy to adjust if you want to do anything different with that. But this is enough instruction that you have to create your sleeve, and then we will pick up when we need to do the edging. So I have worked up my sleeve for the length I want it, accounting for a little bit of stretch that I expect to happen, as well as about 1.5 inches for the trim. Since I have the other one made, I can show you. You kind of expect about 1.5 inches extension from what you have here. So we're going to need to lessen this bumpiness. Once you finished on the single crochet row over your lotus stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2, and into the first stitch, that one in the dip, you're going to do a double crochet. Now you're going to do 2 half double crochets, 1, 2, and then 3 single crochets. So that will be going over the top of the lotus, 1, 2, 3, like so, and then 2 half double crochets until you meet the bottom again. And at the bottom here, we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then repeating that pattern of 2 half double crochets, 3 single crochets, and then 2 half double crochets as we work down, and a double crochet at the bottom, and then repeat it over and over again. So go ahead and do that all the way around, and preferably you want these kind of tight. But yeah, just work that pattern all the way around, and then we'll get to do the trim. Okay, and you should be ending on the last 2 half double crochets like so. And then what I like to do is, as I finish this half double crochet, I'm going to already go ahead and change color. You can just wrap this up, join, and then cut and trim if you want, if you like to join independently. But I'm going to color change into my first trim color, which will be this contrasting dark blue. So for that last yarn over pull through, I'm bringing in this blue, and then I'll slip stitch to join, chain 1, and I'm simply going to single crochet all the way around here, working over the tails, and then I'll trim the light blue tail once I feel it's nice and secure. I neglected to mention before, for this trim part, starting with the dark blue, you're going to switch to your 2.25 or 75 millimeter hook, so you want it pretty small. And surprisingly, it doesn't cinch it in too much for what we're going to do here. So just make sure you switch your hook to at least a fairly significant size less. I recommend either 2.25 or 2.75. Alright, and as I come, I'm going to go back a bit because I had a weird loop. There we go. So as I come up on the end of my row here, on the last stitch, I'm going to do a color change, so I'm not going to finish with the dark blue for the last yarn over pull through, but rather I'm going to introduce the other color, which in this case is white. Alright. And this is also going to be a simple row where, well, let me join this first. So I color change, I slip stitch to join, and I'm going to just drop, well, I'm going to work rather, chain 1, and I'm going to work over the blue just to cinch it on this first stitch, and then I'm going to drop it to the back because we're going to pick it up later. And for the rest of this row, you're just going to do simple single crochets in the white, and then after this row, we will get to the more interesting chart pattern. So just do the same thing you did before and work single crochets all the way around. Alright, so as I finish this round again, I'm going to slip stitch to join. And now, okay, so there are 2 ways you can do this essentially. If you want to continue to slip stitch to join, chain 1, and continue that way, you can. Personally, I like, whenever I can, to start working in the round when possible. And so I'm going to employ that for this one, and I'll show you, if you do follow that option, how to then adjust it before you reach the edge so you don't have this awkward bump at the end. So either way, you can either continue at each end to chain a slip stitch and chain 1 and continue in the chart, or do in my method where you'll just kind of continue around. You might want to use a stitch marker in that case to know exactly where you start your chart. So I will pop up the chart here for you to follow. And so in this case, since I want to do in the round, I'm not going to slip stitch. And from here on, for the next several rounds rather, you are going to work now, instead of simple single crochets, you're going to do what's called a waistcoat stitch, which essentially is a single crochet, but it's just placing differently. So instead of in the top 2 loops as you see here. We're working more, going to place from the front. You see the V that forms at the front. You want to go between that, push that to the back. So basically going through, you want it more into the body of the stitch, if you will. You'll pull up your loop like a regular single crochet, yarn over, pull through 2 loops like a regular single crochet. But what this will do is give a nice, let me see if I can show you, like here on the body trim, it gives a knit effect, and so the color work to me looks nicer this way. Because it just closes it in, and I prefer that over single crochets. You can do single crochets, it'll make it a little longer if you don't like the waistcoat stitch. But I will be showing it as the waistcoat stitch. So following the chart, the starting of it is 5 single crochets. I'm going to kind of be bringing the blue along in the back, and how I carry it over right now is it's in the back. When I yarn over, I'm working kind of over it, but I'm trying to keep it to the back rather than in the middle as much as possible, so it doesn't show through too much. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want 5 white stitches, but since the following stitch is going to be a blue, we're not going to finish it, we're going to do a color change. So at that lap, we're going to drop our white and pick up that blue. And I like to drop the white to the front and yarn over, pull through, and then just kind of adjust the tension. And now we drop the white, and we're going to be working over the white. Again, doesn't matter too much right now, but keeping it to the back is a good habit. And remembering all these are waistcoat stitches, so you're working into between those 2 V loops you see here. So the chart says to do 2 blue stitches. Oh, and I'm going to color change on the second one where the color change needs to occur. And pull through the white, give it a little tension. And then following here, the repeat basically is going to be 6 white and 2 blue, 6 white and 2 blue until you reach the 5 you have here. The one before it will be a white, so it matches up. Since we started this sleeve as in 8s, this chart will match along nicely and be just a continual flow. So follow along with your chart with the repeats as shown, doing a waistcoat stitch 1, 2, 3. Here's my 6. I'm doing a color change, and I will pick up with you to at least work with you through a few more rows so you get the idea. But it becomes very simple once you understand what you're doing, as are most things, aren't they? Anyway, so continue your chart until you reach the 1 stitch at the end that butts up against here. Either you're going to join, or you can have your stitch marker there to let you know where that is, or just eyeball it. So yeah, continue doing that. All right, so you can see, and by the way, I forgot to mention, at least I think I did, that in this case, we are working from the top down for the waves, opposed to if you've already gone through the tutorial or the written instructions for your body one, which is working from the bottom up. So just keep that in mind. In case you think it is my error, it is not. It is meant to be flipped upside down. Unless you prefer that the waves were turned other way because you expect your arms will be up more. I like them showing this way because when the sleeves are down, it looks better to me. So anyway, all that aside, this row is, I've stopped at the, you see at the chart, there's a single white at the end, and it butts up against the 5, so that makes it perfectly 6, 2, 6, 2, 6, 2 all the way around. Now, either you've slip stitched and joined and chained 1 at this point, or you're just going to continue as usual in the round like me. You're going to continue to do your waistcoat stitches, and they're going to start to feel a little tighter. So don't mind, just adjust the tension to how you like it. You can go very tight. I like to try to keep it minimal where you're not seeing too much of the extra color from the back or that's being worked over. Anyway, the next row is really easy, and again I'm going to be working over my second color, my blue here in the back. you're going to just alternate in fours. So you're going to do 4 white, 1, 2, 3, 4, color change on the white, on the fourth, I'm sorry, and then 4 blue. And you'll see how these 2 blues are going to line up in the middle of it. 1, 2, 3. Remember to do them as waistcoat stitches, unless you want to just go single crochet, that's fine. And then 4, and I'll color change. So I drop the blue, oops, and pick up my white, color change, and then 4 white stitches. So just continue that repeat all the way around, and I'll pick up with you for the next round. Alright, I've done my round, and since the 4 blue ended and it's going to be butting up against white, I've already done a color change. So according to, and again, either you'll join with a slip stitch and chain 1, or continue like I am. And also know that if you do it in the round, there's usually a little bit of slanting that'll occur if you do that method. But anyway, so according to the chart, you're going to do 3 white. Remember, waistcoat stitch, so into the V. 1, 2, 3 white. And I'm color changing on the last one. Bringing in the blue. And then 2 blue. 1, 2, changing on the last one. 2 white. 1, 2, color change, and then 1 blue. And so when you do 1, you're just going to do, you've done a color change, you're going to poke through for your waistcoat stitch, yarn over 1, and immediately color change. So you see this one is starting to get a little more involved instead of easy repeats like 6 and 2, 6 and 2, and 4 and 4 and 4. This one will be 3 white, 2 blue, 2 white, 1 blue. Then we're going back to 3 white, 2 blue. I'll go a little faster now. 1, 2, color change. 1, 2, color change. 1 blue, and then repeat. So I'm going to have you go ahead and complete the chart up to, I think, is it row 10? To the bottom of the wave. I think you get, oops, and I didn't color change on that last one. Go ahead and do the up to the bottom of the wave, and I will pick up with you there. I think you have enough to work with. You follow the chart and just be working in a waistcoat stitch. It is very simple once you get the hang of it. And I just recommend after each row also just untangle your skeins of yarn, as they like to twist around themselves. So yeah, continue. Alright, I have worked my wave stitches all the way to the end, and for the last row you start with 1 blue, then you start the repeat of 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, so we'll end on 3 blue. So you see how it butts up against the first one. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to slip stitch here to join and chain 1. So for the next 2 rows I will be doing a regular and not fully in the round, in the sort of spiral way. And so from here you're just going to do regular single crochet rows. So no more wheat stitch is necessary. I'm sorry, not wheat stitch. Waistcoat stitch is necessary. Oops, and I forgot. I'm going to still need the blue for the last row, so I'm just going to leave that behind. I'm not going to work over it. So you're just going to do regular single crochets all the way around in your white. So go ahead and do that, nice and simple. Okay, and at the end of my row, I'm going to color change on the last stitch, switching to my dark blue, slip stitching to join, and chain 1. Now this will be the last row, so I'm going to work over my white regular single crochets all the way around, and then I'll snip it to be all done with that. And then you'll just finish off and weave in any ends you may have from however method you used for it. You'll just want to clean it up. But we are nearly finished with our sleeve. So here I'll snip my white. Feel satisfied that it's secure, and simply work single crochets all the way around. And as I finish, slip stitch the join, cut my yarn, and then all that's left is to do the weaving in. So I will finish that in my own time, but here you can see the trim is all finished. So for anyone who's just not familiar with reading grids or doing color work, this should hopefully help. It is pretty simple in concept. You're treating basically your grid squares as pixels, and you're going to use a stitch per pixel. And in this case, we worked from the top down on the wave, so you'll see how it looks at the bottom of your sleeve. I'll show a fuller clip at the end. And then, as I mentioned, the other tutorial shows how to work it from the bottom up and gives a little more details into how to do the color work. If you get lost in this at any point, you can check that video out as well. It'll be linked in the pattern. So yeah, that's it. And I hope if you have any questions, let me know, and I will try to clarify anything. Or if you need help with any sections, I might make little shorts or something to do any clarifying bits. Thank you for watching.